politics. It depends on the parliament. And the parliament, we are changing the president of the parliament right now, right? The of both houses, right? And it's going to be up to these people to decide for the impeachment or against it, right? So I don't know. Really, the situation is not straightforward, even though it will take several months until we get this impeachment, and then all this instability, this turmoil will be in the middle of this until almost 22, right? Just like Trump, you know, he's under impeachment prosecution right now, and he's not even president anymore, right?
And you are being optimistic because you are counting that, you know, he's not going to be reelected. I hope so.
Yeah, me too.
But you never know. Take Trump, for example. I think if it was not this pandemic, Trump
would be, yes,
would be reelected.
I'm afraid so, yes.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Indeed, he would be reelected. It would be 8 years of Trump with Bolsonaro, you know, because Trump is his guru, right? With Bolsonaro making all this noisy with the Trump support. Now we are completely isolated in the world. Completely. Brazil is completely isolated.
Right.
Okay, so can we resume?
Yeah, I think
after
science offer much more fun.
Yeah, give yourself a break from Bolsonaro.
Yeah. So Merav, Michal is around, or can we start?
Yes, she's around. She's just near me.
Hi.
Yes.
Hi. Okay, so now we have two talks by José, Matsas, and Ioav Waga about this great series of workshops that Opher started here in Brazil. So please, José, go ahead, and then Ioav.
Okay. Okay. Can you see my transparencies?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Just put in presentation mode.
Yeah. Okay, first of all, I would like to thank the organizing committee for actually this opportunity to pay tribute to Reuven Opher in this memorial. So this is my small story about the great influential role that the Nova Física no Espaço workshop had in the Brazilian scientific community. And I would like to apologize in advance if my story clashes in some way with your own memories, because you know memories are so fragile. So I met Reuven long ago in one of the memorable schools organized by Mário Novelo. And he caused to me a very, very strong impression. We got along immediately, and this impression that I had, the strong impression about him, if somebody asked me at that time why it was so, I think I would not be able to pinpoint. But after so many years, I think I am able to do it. And my answer would be the following. I think there is no greater wisdom than knowing that there are things we don't know that we don't know. Dolphins know a few things, so do pandas, but dolphins and pandas do not know that they do not know almost everything. And therefore, they cannot be dazzled even by the little they know. So some call it soul, I call it consciousness, but the fact it doesn't matter. What it matters here is that few among those I have met were so aware of how little we know, like Reuven. And among these ones, even less, if any, have faced it with such a joy and optimism. And this is, I think, what caused me so strong impression when I met him, and this continued for all the time. So after we met, Reuven used to come to our institute to participate in our to our discussions. And at the end of the discussions, we used to go to next door to a hotel whose name is the Universe Flat. So it's that's just fun because, you know, this was built before 1998 when we realized that the spatial section. But anyway, we used to go there and have some coffee or hot chocolate and discuss physics and other things. And as far as I remember, here is where Reuven exposed me to his idea of gathering astronomers and physicists in a workshop. So roughly speaking, the idea was that astronomers were looking for solutions for their problems, while theoretical physicists were looking for problems for their solutions. And perhaps they could help each other. This was the idea. And I should say that I was not optimistic. I told him that. My feeling at the time was that only a few ones would be ready to work on problems of others, and the workshop could run short of the audience. And I must say that I was wrong. One way of assess the success of the 13 editions of the Nova Física no Espaço is counting the number of participants. I don't have data of all the 13 editions, but I have data of some editions, about 8 editions, and you can see how the number of participants stabilized in something about 80 or 90 participants. And the success was so large, I think, so big that Reuven, he invented another version, the international version of Nova Física no Espaço, which Ioav Waga is going to talk to us, which was an international edition. The Nova Física no Espaço was a kind of national edition dedicated to Brazilian physicists and astronomers. And in particular, as Betty told us, in 2012, we commemorated the 80th anniversary, Reuven's 80th anniversary in a lovely city called Passa Quatro, and it was very emotional, as Betty commented. So the first 10 editions of the Nova Física no Espaço happened in Campos do Jordão. This is a lovely city about 120 miles from São Paulo city. And the precise site where they were organized is this one, is this hotel, the Leão da Montanha Hotel, Mountain Lion Hotel. And this is the conference room, but not less important, let me flash the coffee corner where most of us had discussions on physics and astronomy and also other things, of course. And some ideas, I think, came out in this small place. So I remember with nostalgia this place, I shall say. Now, so from my point of view, I think the Nova Física no Espaço became a kind of Brazilian version of the Texas Symposium. So just for curiosity, the idea of the Texas Symposium was more or less the same of Nova Física no Espaço, I think. Just for curiosity, let me tell you a small story. In the first Texas Symposium, in December 1963, Thomas Gold said something like that the mystery of quasars allows us to suggest that relativists with their sophisticated work are not only magnificent cultural ornaments, but can be useful to science. This can sound as a joke, but this is not really a joke. At that time, relativists were, the physics known by relativists were a kind of useless. But the fact is that Thomas Gold was right. So quasars are powered by gigantic black holes in distant protogalaxies. And indeed, this became the first evidence of the existence of black holes in nature. Before 1963, the best evidence that we had of the existence of black holes in nature was the fact that black holes had never been observed since they are black, right? So no evidence at all. So this leads us to the question about what was the legacy left by the Nova Física no Espaço. Well, if I had to pinpoint one major legacy of Nova Física no Espaço to the Brazilian scientific community, I would point out observational cosmology in Brazil. I think, why? First, because Reuven was very much interested in cosmology. Background and his interest in observations, he always influenced cosmologists to pursue observations, right? So he questioned all of us about what would be the observational consequences of our calculations. And so in a direct or indirect way, the observational cosmology, I think, as we know it today in Brazil, is indirectly or directly due to Reuven. So these days, I think we have a number of observational cosmology projects that probably Ioav may talk on some of them at least, some of which were discussed and inspired in the Nova Física no Espaço. Okay, so the role played by I think the observational cosmology in Brazil will be associated to Reuven for good. But that's not all. I think it's impossible to assess the nice environment, the inspiring questions of Reuven's inspiring questions and the nice environment provided by Nova Física no Espaço, how this influenced new ideas and provided or allowed for new collaborations. And just in order to give my testimony, my personal testimony of the influence of Nova Física no Espaço in my own research, let me spend 5 minutes, my remaining 5 minutes, telling you about one of these projects that was inspired in Nova Física. And the question that I had for long was whether general relativity theorems could be challenged by quantum mechanics. We knew that this is true. And let's give you the most famous example due to Hawking. So Hawking has a famous theorem from 1971 that says that the total area of a closed system of black holes never decreases in time. So for example, in this case, we begin with 3 black holes with some total area, and let's assume that 2 of them coalesce. At the end, you have 2 black holes. According to Hawking theorem, using general relativity, which the classical theory and not only allows classical mechanisms, the final total area has to be at least equal to the total area of initial black holes. But Hawking itself showed us 3 years later that if you allow quantum ingredients to general relativity, this classical theorem is challenged, and indeed it's false, in the sense that you can begin with a closed set of black holes, and the total area of these black holes can decrease in time. They can decrease because they can evaporate, and eventually you can end up with no black hole, 0 area, and a lot of thermal radiation. So the question I had is it possible to reproduce or to challenge other classical general relativity theorems using quantum mechanics? Okay, so the answer to this question came to me in Nova Física. And the idea is that we know since 1939 that the total, thanks to Oppenheimer and Snyder, who was his postdoc, that the total collapse of a massive star ends in a singularity. And Penrose, he showed in '65, and actually this is why he gained the Nobel Prize this year, that this is not an artifact because of assuming some special symmetry in this collapse, but this is a general feature. So the total collapse of general stars end up in a singularity. The problem is that singularity is a generic name that we give to structures that we don't understand. And because we don't understand, I mean that we don't have equations to describe them. So if we don't know how to describe naked singularities, anything can come out from a naked singularity, for example, a pink elephant. And we don't like the idea of having pink elephants going out with no warning from something that we call a singularity. So because of it, Roger Penrose himself, some years later, 4 years later, he decided to conjecture that there are no naked singularities in nature. There would be a cosmic sense of these singularities with the horizon of a black hole in order to hide the shame of the singularity inside this dress. Why? Because if this is inside a black hole, the singularity could not mess up with anything outside because, you know, no information goes out from inside the black hole. So what came? Okay. On the other hand, that's an article of faith that singularities are going to be understood in quantum mechanics. If we add up if you have a full quantum gravity theory, singularities are not going to be singular anymore. They are going to be structures that will be quantum structures understandable in this larger theory. And if they are understandable, they are not a problem anymore. So the same theory that would explain us what singularities are, namely quantum mechanics, could perhaps provide us a mechanism to generate naked singularities. So the idea I had is perhaps there is some mechanism to generate naked singularities in nature. And so this possibility, what mechanism would be this, just came out to me in Nova Física no Espaço because of this very nice environment. And the idea is that if you begin with a singularity dressed by a black hole inside a black hole, if you use a quantum mechanism, which is a quantum tunneling, which is a quantum mechanism, and if you quantum tunnel a particle under certain circumstances in a black hole, the black hole horizon can dissolve for some time, and perhaps the singularity can be visible from outside, and we would have contact or be influenced by a naked singularity. So in order to have a final answer to this, we need a full quantum gravity theory, but I think the mechanism proposed is sound. So then I went back home and I talked to a student, and this ended up to be the main paper of his PhD thesis. So this is a PhD thesis that was directly inspired by Nova Física no Espaço, which is, you know, the environment was created entirely, I can say, and I should say, by Opher. So just to finish, I think it's hard to see how the Nova Física no Espaço workshop can survive to Reuven, since the Nova Física no Espaço and Reuven were two faces of the same coin. But in some sense, never mind, because I think, I'm quite sure that Reuven's legacy will blossom for good from Nova Física no Espaço, not only because of the observational cosmology, but because the inspiring environment that Nova Física no Espaço will live for good in our memories. So I thank you all to hear us, to hear me, and that's it. Thank you.
And thank you very much, Jorge. I think we all have very fond memories of Nova Física do Espaço, and hopefully when we go to the point of testimonies, we can hear lots of testimonies, stories of things that happen at Nova Física do Espaço. Crispino, you want to add something now, or you can wait until the testimonies?
I'm not sure how I'll manage the things to be in the testimony session. So I'd just like to speak for 10 seconds, just to say that I am a person that has been highly influenced by the Nova Física no Espaço workshop. And obviously I want to say a lot of things, especially when I see Merav, that I didn't see a lot of time. And Opher has had a strong influence not only in my career
Luis,
because of all
bring
the
Angela. I need to say hello to her.
yeah, well, I mean, you know, Merav, I don't know. We have a 6-year-old boy, and things are a little messy around.
I need to see her.
Okay, I already told her. And okay, so let's wait for the testimonies. Thank you, Matsas. You brought with your presentation, I mean, you just brought tears in my eyes to remember these things that we have lived together, not only in Nova Física, but in the cafeteria of the universe, the hotel. So I'm very, very grateful to Opher, and I'm really glad that this thing has been promoted today. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Crispino. I hope you can stay for the testimonies. Raul?
Hello, everybody. Many people that I haven't seen in a while, and but very quickly also leave my gratitude for Opher. I had the luck of having Nova Física do Espaço happen just as I was coming back to Brazil, and I was looking for something more interesting to do. And it's no exaggeration to say that where the paths that I chose were completely influenced by the fact that Opher was there to offer these opportunities to everybody and to put these people together. I ended up working exactly on this kind of interface between astronomy and physics. So it's kind of exactly this middle of the way, this interaction that was allowed by Opher, and he was a huge influence, extremely positive person. Anyway, it would be redundant of me to say, but like many people here, we owe a lot more than we can say to Opher. Thank you.
Thank you, Raul. I hope we can give more testimonies at the end. Let's see. So Ioav, you're next. I think you can share the screen.
1 second. I have a problem here.
What's happening? Did you find the button share screen?
No, it's okay.
Yes.
There we go. It's promising. Great.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, look at that smile. Wow.
And I would like, to thank for the invitation. I would like to start my presentation telling you about a movie that I saw recently. The name of the movie is Dreams by Akira Kurosawa.
Oh God, that's beautiful.
This is a very beautiful movie, and who didn't saw this movie, I recommend it. And in this movie, there are several dreams of the author, and the last dream was the guy, the main person in the movie, that he entered in a small city, and he met an old man, and he started to talk with this old man, and suddenly this man said, "Well, now I have to change to put clothes. I have to go to a party." You are going to a party? It's not exactly a party. It is a funeral, and someone in the city died. A very old woman died, but you are wearing so nice clothes to go to this funeral, and he said, "Well, here in this city, we are sad only when a young person die, when an old man die or a woman, we celebrate his life. And I think is that what we are doing here, celebrating Opher's life. Okay, and I am very happy to participate in this. Well, let me talk about this. The first workshop, Challenge of New Physics, it happened in April 25 to 30, 2009. The idea was before the 7 years before, I will read. Annual workshop on new physics in space have taken place in Brazil over the past 7 years, in which around 100 Brazilian physicists and astrophysicists meet to discuss recent astronomical observations that require new physics. The physics discussed, which range from black holes to dark energy, is analyzed against the backdrop observations that can determine their viability. And so in this, the idea of the challenge of the workshop of Challenge of New Physics was to bring overseas specialists or speakers to interact with the Brazilian ones. So, and the themes, the subjects of the workshop was dark energy, dark matter, massive black holes, plasma physics. This is the idea. The first workshop, I could see this in the internet, was the invited overseas speaker was Joseph Silks, that he spoke on the Monday of dark matters, and the next day he spoke about formation of galaxy. Luca Amendola spoke about dark energy and new cosmology. And you can see here Rogério Rosenfeld, Abílio Mateus, Rafael, Ulisses. Well, you can see Odílio, also Crispino, Alain, Toribio, Ana Pellison, Gustavo Rocha da Silva. And in this was the first day on Monday, and at the end was a talk by Lawrence Krauss. I recall he was speaking about what would happen in the future if lambda dominate the universe, the cosmic expansion. And so the next day, Joseph Silk talked about formation of galaxies, and William Leroux about dump holes analogous to black holes, part 1. Okay, and also Jack Lepine, Jorge Matsas, João Braga, many. The overseas speakers spoke 1.5 hours, and the Brazilian half an hour. And Thursday, William Leroux gave a second lecture, and is Athanasius and in Maurício Calvão, Marcelo Rebouças, Nelson Pinto, and also Athanasius Lahana spoke about supersymmetric dark matter and non-standard cosmology. And there were all Ilya Shapiro, Laertes Sadré, Raissa, and Rubens Marinho. And Friday, Wednesday was free day, and Friday morning there was also many talks. Sérgio Joraz, Bruno Gonçalves, José Carlos do Araújo, etc. And in the night, Thursday night, Reuven, he highlights the work of the workshop. He gave Opher in general. He gave a first speech, a presentation of in the beginning. We arrived on Sunday, and then there was this start. This first speech by Opher about the idea of the workshop, etc. This was the first workshop. The second workshop, I could not find the schedule of the workshop in the internet. I don't have anything about the second workshop. I guess it was happened in the same year, in December. Excuse me, was not in December, in the next year in May, probably May or April, I don't know. So what happened again? Oh, no. What happened? I guess sorry. Okay. I clicked on the Shapiro talk. So this is, okay. So I have the third workshop, Edward Rocky Cope talk about dark matter, Waxman, what we know and don't know about origin of high energy cosmic rays, Miller, in the afternoon, in the first day, Miller, the promise of gravitational waves, Lovelace on the magnetic origin of jets and formation of galaxies and therms, formation of galaxies at high redshift. This was Monday and Tuesday. And also Brazilian speakers and those were the overseas speakers. And in Wednesday in the morning, Rocky Cope talked about dark energy, and the next day Miller talked about neutron star and extremes of matter, and in Friday, Waxman about gamma ray burst, and I guess yes, and no, this was afternoon of Thursday, and Tion's structure of galaxy and low redshift. So many, you can see here what the talks of the people. The first workshop, I don't have, also I could not find material in the internet. This is an email that I received from Opher, that he was organizing the fourth workshop. I guess this was 2011. I'm not sure, but he was already in the United States. When he left, I don't remember when he left to the United States, but his idea was to make the main goal of the workshop was to try to make a kind of collaboration between physicists and astrophysicists from Cornell with the Brazilian physicists and astrophysicists. So these are where the oh my God. These were the people he invited from the Cornell, and now he also invited Scott Dodelson. This is what I have. I don't have, well, they have the themes, the subject of the talks, but I don't have much material about this. The workshop, up to the fourth workshop, they were realized each year. But after that, the fifth workshop in 2013, I guess we discussed the idea that one year Nova Física no Espaço and another year workshop challenge of new physics in space. So this the fifth workshop was organized in CBPF. The coordinator, the co-chair of this workshop was Marcelo Rebouças, and this schedule, the overseas speakers were Chris Clarkson, Giancarlo Guirlanda, Jean-Philippe Ozan, and Thomas Sotirio. And the Brazilian speakers were mainly the Brazilian speakers. I think from the names, I don't know why, but most of them or all of them are cosmologists. By some reason, the people from astrophysics did not participate in this meeting for some reason. This is the schedule of the meeting. Most cosmologists and relativists okay. And this sixth workshop was in Orotur. I was the coordinator. The overseas speakers were Carlo Battigalupi, Frank Bauer, Jean-Paul Kneip, Martin Kunz, and Marta Volontieri. These were the Brazilian speakers. And this is the schedule of the talks. It was nice. And this is the people that participated in this meeting, the sixth workshop. Here is Opher. And I have some pictures. I can show some picture of this meeting, and I have this, but I have this picture from Opher with Marina that helped all the realization of all the meetings. He helped a lot, Opher and all the people that organized the workshop. And I have my last slide. I have a parody that Rogério sent to me that is just call for the you've got a friend. It's the music is a parody of the you've got a friend, Carole King. So we should sing this now, or let us sing this at the end. I don't know. Rogério, what do you think?
That's the one we try to remember.
Yes, this is the one that we were talking about. Just for dark matter.
Yes.
When
we can go talk.
And you know some other dark matter and nothing. No, it's hard to read because
nothing is
growing. No, it's
slowly. Close your eyes and inflation.
And I think it will be
there.
Only
inflation, yes.
Yeah, and
we will be there to raise even your about
horizon, your closest horizon. Use a small
for dark matter, and you know wherever it is, I will
come running to help you again.
Before you again.
Stellar or galactic. All
you have to do is call, and you'll be there. You've
got dark matter.
Better. Yes, this was composed in an advanced school, astrophysics advanced school, back in the 90s. When I think the third one, I don't remember exactly the year, but it was in the 90s. We were still PhD students, and yeah, this became very famous. As you see, it's in a slide. This is slide transparent. Right?
No, yes, you wrote this. Yes, his.
Yeah, we can try to call this to sing this later all together.
Yeah.
We can open the microphones of everybody, and then we can.
It's not easy to sing together because of the.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have some pictures you want to see, or
sure.
Have time or not?
Sure, go ahead.
Let me find here. 1 second. No, it's here. Well,
So, but
1 second.
Opher would start every meeting, every workshop singing this song. Remember this?
Yeah, that's true. In the night, after dinner.
You can see
Yes, after dinner. Yes, yes, we can see.
the photos from the 6th workshop. Oh, Daniel, Martin Mackler.
This is the paredão session, no?
Paredão section.
People have to explain what paredão means.
Yeah, you can see display. It's at the end of talks, people of the section, people put in the paredão and people ask what they want up to the speakers.
Yes, it was the discussion section. Actually, it was the same format of Nova Física in Space,
Yeah.
New Physics in Space. Yeah.
Paredão,
Challenges started in the beginning with the same concept of new physics, right? To put together astrophysicists and physicists and even laboratory plasma physicists in order to put these people together to discuss broadly the fields, right? But then challenges moved little by little into this more cosmology
Yes,
concept.
but in the last one, we try to change this.
You mean these in ICTP? I don't remember if it was
The sixth one. Marta Volunteri, he's not I guess she's not a cosmologist.
Oh yeah, I was not attending, so I'm just saying that it moved a little bit the concept because most of the people there are cosmologists, physics cosmologists, most of them. Yes. But anyways, it was even so, it was amazing. I mean.
Okay.
Okay.
So maybe, Ioav, thank you very much. And thank you for bringing this picture of Marina, because we actually thought of contacting Marina, but somehow, Betty, I think we lost contact with her, right?
Actually, I contacted her and she said that she would send pictures, all this stuff, but she's living in Chile with her family, her daughter, and yes, grandchildren, and her daughter's husband, and so at the end she didn't send the material, so but anyways we can send to her the link later on so that she can participate as well, so she can see what we have.
She can see, yes. Okay, very well. So according to we're a little bit late. We're supposed to have a break because now it's more personal views now. So I would suggest, if you don't mind, just having like a 10 minutes break. Is that okay? And then we come back. We can, and then it would be nice. We can stay here and talk, but just have a 10 minutes break. And then, so we're back at 2:55 Brazilian time. So in 10 minutes, okay?
And that's when you would want me to.
Yes, and then Sarah starts, and then it's Merav and Michal.
Okay.
And then testimonies.
Okay.
All right. But well, it was very nice, Ioav and Jorge. Thank you very much. I'm sure people have very fond memories of challenge.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. It was incredible. So we should be back here at US time, 12:55.
Yeah, 10 minutes.
Okay.
But you can continue talking. Just
Okay.
Comando ver Angela.
Ioav?
Thank you.
Ioav?
Oi, Merav!
Que linda!
Que bom lhe ver!
É,
Nossa!
eu te falei, quando o Covid acabar, eu tô indo.
É isso mesmo, tem que viajar, que ninguém aguenta enclausuramento e vai ser o primeiro lugar, tem que vir ao Brasil e ficar
Tem
aqui.
que vir. Exato, exato.
No final, a gente vai ver se traz o Luigi e a Isabela.
Eu tenho a Isabela está com 22 anos e o Luigi
Sim.
com 6.
O Luigi com 6. Uau.
Rapaz,
O meu não está aqui. Tô em Nova York com a minha irmã. O meu
tá com quantos anos, Merav?
tá com 11.
Ah, um rapazinho já.
Eu já acabei de te mandar um e-mail com uma fotinha dele.
Vou ver.
Tá 11, Merav.
Tá com 11.
11, Merav. Você precisa botar os vídeos. Você sabe que eu tô com o netinho?
Já? Ai, que legal.
Rafael,
Demais.
filho da Juliana. Eu tenho
Demais. Qual a idade?
o problema. Ele tá com 1 ano e 11 meses.
Uau.
A Juliana foi transferida para Bruxelas, né? Então eles estão na Bélgica e vai fazer março, vai fazer 1 ano que eu não os vejo.
É difícil com Covid, olha.
Não. Exatamente, a gente porque eu fazia direto, eu passava lá sempre o tempo todo.
E voltava, é difícil,
Agora, ele fez 1 ano em março, foi a última vez que eu passei lá, né? Eu voltei de lá no dia em que eles fecharam os aeroportos na primeira onda, né? Março.
Como é que vocês estão dando aula? Luiz, Ângela, vocês também estão em Zoom?
Remote.
Tudo aqui, tudo online. A gente usa, a plataforma é diferente, é Google Meet, mas aula. Tem muito prejuízo, né? Não é bom para os alunos.
Eu também, começo a dar aula na terça para, eu acho que 70 alunos, então, de astronomia, Zoom. Como é que vai dar isso aí?
Merav, eu comprei uma mesa digitalizadora. Aí você escreve, fica como se fosse um quadro. Ajuda bastante.
O problema é que o pessoal aqui não tem acesso à internet.
Tem um jeito. Não, tem todas as plataformas.
Na aula de graduação que eu fiz de pós...
Para muita gente... Posso te dar uma sugestão?
Pode.
As turmas, por exemplo, eu dei aula na pós com turmas pequenas. Aí a aula online funciona muito bem, né? Você dá aula online com todas
Isso não tem problema,
Porém, turmas grandes, o que o pessoal tem feito é assim, ao invés de dar a aula online, porque os alunos realmente não têm uma frequência séria, eles gravam e botam no sistema. Tem funcionado melhor assim.
Não, Beth, eu vou gravar, mas eu vou também ser ao vivo. E eu vou fazer coisas interativas para ver se pelo menos eu consigo alguma reação.
Com 70 alunos, esse dá certo. Se não der certo, é por causa desse grande número.
Eu estou vendo que o Orfeu está lá. Não.
Só dizer que eu já dei 4 anos de aulas online e posso dizer que já dei para turmas pequenas e para turmas gigantescas. Este semestre eu tinha 135 alunos e penso que as gravações são um desastre, porque os alunos não aparecem, assistem às gravações 2 semanas depois e vêm perguntar sobre as gravações. Eu acho as gravações um desastre. Portanto, penso que devemos obrigá-los a assistir às aulas, ter um quadro inteligente, é o que nós temos, é muito útil, porque eu posso escrever no quadro, posso dar uma aula exatamente como se eles estivessem ao pé de mim. Claro, com a dificuldade de haver uma distância, obviamente, mas educação à distância não é educação, certo? E ninguém está aqui a dizer que a educação à distância é bom. A questão é que entre educação à distância e não educação, entre aulas à distância e não aulas à distância são infinitamente melhores. As pessoas estão aqui a discussão é aula presencial é melhor. Claro que é melhor, mas não é essa situação que nós estamos a viver. Portanto, não há discussão, certo? Portanto, temos que seguir aquilo que é a vida acima de tudo, certo? Portanto, isso é uma discussão, pronto, estamos todos a discutir isso, certo? eu estou indo e vindo porque agora temos uma chamada da minha universidade dizendo que os exames vão recomeçar na segunda-feira presencialmente e eu sou visceralmente contra. Eu já me mandei um comunicado para a imprensa dizendo que isso é completamente impensável e, portanto, estamos nesse ping-pong. Mas, de fato, olha, acabei de receber um e-mail de uma colega dizendo que ela não concorda porque ela acha que devemos estar juntos dos nossos alunos, ok? Portanto, todos sabem quais são os riscos que isso comporta, não é? Quer dizer, nós estamos aqui em Portugal com a situação... E nas últimas 3 semanas a situação descontrolou-se completamente. Depois do Natal houve um descontrole completo, certo? As relações pessoais muito próximas, etc. Tínhamos tudo sob controle. De repente, nas últimas 3 semanas, a situação está totalmente fora do controle. E, portanto... somos obrigados a fazer um confinamento duríssimo. Os hospitais estão todos lotados. As unidades de terapia intensiva estão todas lotadas. E, portanto, como eu digo, aulas à distância é o melhor que podemos fazer, ok?
Temos um problema adicional aqui na Amazônia, que os alunos não têm acesso. Imagine, se em São Paulo, por exemplo, no Brasil, uma grande cidade, os alunos têm acesso. Aqui, os alunos são muito pobres.
O que eles fazem?
A universidade tem um dinheiro para eles comprarem, mas eles, em geral, usam um celular para assistir a aula, que é péssimo.
E assim,
péssimo,
imagina uma família vivendo, muitas vezes, em um cômodo, assim, por mais que eles tenham acesso à internet, mas não têm a tranquilidade para assistir uma aula, porque são famílias pobres, né?
Eles têm Chromebooks, porque algumas das escolas públicas aqui, o que eles fizeram para alunos que não tinham internet, mas não tinham computadores, eles deixaram eles alugarem o Chromebook, que é como uma tablet, não tem nada no Chromebook, é barato, mas dava para
os alunos de pós-graduação, eles deram auxílio e conseguiram comprar computador, laptop. Mas para os de graduação é meio complicado, são 50 mil alunos, né? Mas eu concordo com o Orfeu, assim, para os meus alunos, eu não tenho gravado a aula de graduação, de pós eles aparecem, que as turmas são pequenas. Mas os de graduação, há materiais bons na internet, assim, de quem gravou antes da pandemia. Então, eu digo, se você não vai aparecer na aula, você assiste esse material. Mas o ideal é que você apareça, né? Porque aí você consegue interagir de alguma forma.
Ou fazer exames. Eu estava pensando em fazer uns quizzes, uns exames ao vivo. Se tiver na aula, vai ter a nota. Se não vier, não vai ter a nota.
Então, a nossa universidade proibiu a atribuição de notas para atividades presenciais, justamente porque não há nenhuma garantia. Eles não têm...
É capaz que a Bio também faça isso.
O que eu faço dou uma prova em um tempo, tem 24 horas para entregar.
É uma boa ideia, acho que vou fazer isso. Sim.
Um pouco mais difícil, mas...
O que a SBF fez, né, foi criar um repositório de aulas virtuais. Então, isso foi um negócio muito legal. Agora, na SBF, Sociedade Brasileira de Física, lá, tem um lugar onde tem aulas que todas as pessoas do Brasil já gravaram. E aí a gente dá uma olhada rapidinho para ver as estão bem legais, e aí elas ficam lá. Né? E é engraçado, a gente fez muita campanha nisso, mas, por exemplo, as pessoas não conhecem, vão conhecer na medida que vão... Hoje mesmo, um colega que eu tinha falado várias vezes, mas como é mesmo aquilo? Quer dizer, então, realmente, porque se você for reinventar a roda, é muito difícil, entende? Você começar do zero um curso, né? Quer dizer, e além do mais, a maioria dessas aulas são em universidades, como a Universidade Federal Fluminense, a USP e a Unicamp, que elas ofereceram toda uma estrutura de uma equipe de gravação que deu suporte. Então, essas
antes
aulas
da
são
pandemia,
bem legais. Antes
fala.
da pandemia, né? Então, isso foi um negócio
outra coisa que, quando eu dava esse curso, 6 anos atrás, foi a última vez que eu ensinei esse curso para uma turma tão grande, a gente tinha demonstração. Então, trazia e quebrava o ritmo da aula. Não era eu só falando. E aqui eu não posso fazer isso.
Não.
Qual é o curso, Merav?
Entrou para astronomia para poetas, sem equação, sem nada.
Que delícia!
Essa é uma delícia. Também tem gente que... Eu tenho alunos chineses que estão na China, que não têm visa, e estão em horário, o fuso horário é diferente também. que é outro problema.
Isso aí
isso
pode ser desastroso.
Isso talvez obrigue você a gravar.
Teve gente que deu esse curso semestre passado, que teve office hours às 8 da noite, para permitir que gente na China podia atender. É uma loucura isso.
Não tem jeito, tem que gravar para permitir que os alunos não podem.
Eu tenho que gravar, eu não tenho opção, eu tenho que gravar. A gente é obrigado, vai ter que fazer.
Aí você grava a aula, mas a aula online, tipo, não grava afora.
Não, eu gravo, é que nem um Zoom, eu abro um Zoom e eu gravo, e aí eu faço um upload para o Blackboard.
Isso. E aí também as dúvidas dos que estão presentes, em geral, é a dúvida dos ausentes, então ajuda bastante, né? Já esperamos.
Não sei como é que vai ser.
Mas que bom de ver. Você está morando em Nova York agora?
Eu estou em Boston.
Ah, que bom.
Estou em Boston desde 2010. E já é friozinho lá. Fala, não, estou escutando a Ângela e a Beth ao mesmo tempo, fala.
Eu vou ficar caladinha, porque senão eu falo de...
Fala, Ângela.
Seu pai estava morando em Nova York, né?
Ele estava em Nova York, sim.
Com o Michal.
Isso. E eu vi ele há pouco tempo. Eu vinha bastante. Com Covid, a gente conseguiu no final para ver ele. Até no final, em setembro, eu falei para ele, você vai ter que me dar um abraço. Eu sei que é Covid, mas não tem jeito, vai ter que dar um abraço. Eu agarrei ele.
Saudades.
Saudades.
Super saudade, gente. A Michal voltou agora. Fala.
Lembro muito de quando eu ia na sua casa, das conversas com ele, falando sobre arte, que ele adorava.
Ele adorava.
E também sobre física, porque ele fazia as perguntas fundamentais sobre a minha... Eu estava em matéria condensada, né? Mas as perguntas dele eram tão inteligentes que me fazia...
Meu aluno, eu fiz uma cerimônia depois do luto, né? E tem um aluno, meu pai não conheceu muito meus alunos, mas uma vez ele foi para o meu group meeting lá em Boston. E só um segundo. Michal, acima de mute. E pedi para a Michal fazer um mute, que estava um eco. E ele veio para o meu group meeting e meu aluno até falou que ele ficou admirado, porque meu pai não tinha a menor noção do que meu aluno fazia, mas fez uma pergunta assim que meu aluno ficou naquela sem noção no que responder.
Perguntas fundamentais.
Super fundamentais e...
Você lembra que o Opher, dos seminários do departamento, ele dormia o seminário inteiro e depois ele chegava e fazia aquelas perguntas?
Na minha tese, ele dormiu a tese inteira e no final ele fez pergunta. Falei, como é que ele vai fazer pergunta? E perguntou umas perguntas das mais difíceis. Eu falei, que é isso?
Exatamente, era sempre assim.
Dormia. Total, e acordava.
Seminários do departamento inteiro, e depois ele chegava no fim e fazia aquelas smart questions, sempre.
Sim, Talvez esse é o segredo, Beth, a gente tem que dormir o seminário inteiro. Gente, tão legal te ver, Ângela. Ai, saudade demais.
Muita saudade.
Muita saudade. Eu conheço a Ângela Luiz desde a época da graduação na USP.
Isso mesmo.
Ai, tanto tempo. Luiz, você lembra que você falava, Ângela, do outro lado da biblioteca.
É que a gente veio do norte, né? E está muito acostumado com essa comunidade.
Eu adorava. Eu esperava o Luiz.
Assim, acho que a gente deixa para os depoimentos no final, mas realmente
que delícia ver vocês, uma delícia. Eu tenho, aliás, na minha cabeceira de cama, eu tenho a caixinha, Luiz, que você deu de vocês para mim, para o meu pai. Eu tenho, onde eu coloco as joias, são de vocês.
Jura, que
tenho. Vocês mandaram com chocolate de Capuaçu? Eu tenho.
Isso.
Eu tenho.
Que bom, que legal. Tempo gostoso.
Pessoal, a gente está esperando pela Sarah. Sarah, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, excuse me. Went and ate it.
So now we're going to start with the last part of the memorial. So we have Sarah White, and then Michal and Merav, and then we open for testimonies, okay? So Sarah, you can share your screen, you can just talk, it's up to you.
I don't need to share the screen. I'm just going to read a poem and talk just a little bit. One thing that's become very clear today, listening to everybody, is, and I will just confirm it, Reuven loved being a physicist. He thought that everyone deep down wants to be a physicist. He thought that was true of everybody. And that was funny for me when I met him, because I knew what it was like to want to be something. I wanted to be a poet. And I tried very hard when I was young, and I wasn't very good at it. So I concluded that everyone must want to be a poet. So he thought everyone wanted to be a physicist. And I thought everyone must want to be a poet. And gradually, I met a lot of people who had no wish whatsoever to be a poet. So I concluded that I was wrong, that everyone wanted to be a poet. But Reuven never changed his mind. He thought, no matter who he met, he thought that that person deep down must want to be a physicist. So with that question, or that little disagreement in mind, I decided I wanted to read a short poem because it reminds me of Reuven. It's by Yehuda Amichai, the Israeli poet who died in, I think, when was it? Maybe 1982. No, I met him after that. But anyway, he died a few years ago, and he wrote in Hebrew, but a lot of English speakers have translated him. So here's the poem. It's called Poem Without an End, but don't worry, it's really very short. Poem Without an End by Yehuda Amichai. Inside the brand new museum, there is an old synagogue. Inside the synagogue is me. Inside me, my heart. Inside my heart, a museum. Inside the museum, a synagogue. Inside it, me. Inside me, my heart. Inside my heart, a museum. Now for me, that's a very sweet poem, but if I had talked to the poet, I would have said, Yehuda, you said that all when he said the last line, inside me, a museum. I would have said, you said that already. Why did you say it twice in the poem? And he would have said, because this involvement, this inner museum and its relationship to the heart is very complicated. So there's reasons to say it twice. And that reminds me of Reuven, because there was an enormous amount of room, space in his heart. We've all been talking about how much room there was in his brain and how interested he was in so many things. And that's true, there was a lot of space in his brain, but there was even more in his heart. And I know that because I have visited his heart. In 2015, he invited me to take up residence in his heart. So I did, and I found a great many people there. I found Rogerio, I found Betsy, and of course I found two young women who were so large in his heart that really I don't think they could have asked for anything that he wouldn't have given them. But there were a great many people. I also found a woman who had been there for 60 years and born him 2 children. And she was there and she never left. And we were there together for all that time. And as far as I know, there was no problem. I think we got along fine.
Beautiful, Sarah.
In his mind, there were so many things, all of his cosmology, his techniques, his students. But he did find something new when I was there. He did find a person who had never, ever wanted to be a physicist. That was a discovery. I think that's really all I need to say about Reuven. Okay. So,
Tara, can I say something? That
Sure.
my dad, I used to talk to him very often, almost every day, and he will tell me, Merav, I made a discovery. And I said, what? Poetry is so interesting. And then he will say, there is a whole world out there, Merav. You don't know that. But one of that is poetry.
He did learn quite a bit about poetry. He really did. And he used to come to some of my workshops where my poet friends were, and they loved having him there. And
you even made him start writing poetry himself,
Really?
which for me was amusing.
He did write some poems. I have to admit that he did not write a poem when he wrote that song because he didn't understand that they're really, that song, which is a pretty good song. Oops, sorry. Does not fit those words. It just doesn't. That's why you have difficulty singing it. The words do not fit.
It's okay. We are tolerant.
We had fun.
Right. Probably good that he didn't know me when he wrote that poem, when he wrote that song. So it's lovely to see all you people, many of whom have shared the same, all the space in that enormous personality.
Thank you.
Thanks for your beautiful words.
Beautiful, yeah. Thank
Made
you.
a lot of us cry here.
Yeah.
Well, we all cry. People don't cry probably enough. So. Good.
New York need to be watered.
Right. It does. It's great to see you all.
Okay. So, Michal and Merav, are you ready? Tough act to follow.
I'll go first because mine is shorter. Okay, hold on. So I'm just a word of warning. I'm gonna continue the focus of this symposium on his legacy as a scientist, on me and on my students. I think talking about him as a father, I'm not there yet. I can't do that yet. Can you see?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So, so when Reuven moved to the States, he joined my group as a regular researcher. And remember, he was a cosmologist, but with his background, he could really integrate himself in the research and with the students kind of seamlessly. And he had his own relationship with the students and with the postdocs over the years that was completely independent of my relationship with them. Students told him things that they never told me. And he helped them with their projects. So these are just different generations of students. And you see Reuven there present during all those generations of students, and they adored him. So they sent me many tributes, and these are some of them. He was our biggest fan. One of the students had to pass an exam that was a little bit challenging for him, and Reuven sat with him again and again, week after week, helping him with his exam. He kind of integrated himself in a world that originally I thought would be so different than his own. He felt so comfortable, and he made the character of the group. So here, for example, on the top left, this is a photo. Oops, this is a photo of us playing escape room. I don't know if the Brazilian folks know that. That's a kind of a game, a group game. He had a blast there. In the middle are two students visiting Reuven in one of the many times that he had. The students used to call it tune-up. He had to go to the hospital to fix his heart. And more or less once a year, he ended up there. And the students didn't panic. They just said, oh, Reuven is doing his tune-up. And so they used to visit him there. And on the top right is one of the students on the day when he got married. Was very important for him to be with Reuven that day. So the biggest thing that Reuven gave the students besides the science is an inspiration. And he gave the students and gave me kind of the desire to think big, to be excited about what we do, to be focused. And he had a kind of a book of rules of life. And I'm sure that many of you worked with him and were his students are familiar with these rules. So he used to say, make an impact, but look, I'm an applied physicist, an engineer. So he changed it a little bit. He said, okay, make an impact in science or on technology, but just don't be in between. He used to say, define a goal and work like a laser to get it, meaning try not to be distracted. He always said, be courageous, ask the big question. What's the big question? He used to tell us to make sure that we are not too influenced by other people that are thinking what's hot today. Just choose topics that you yourself feel that are the most important and are the most interesting. And the list goes on and on. I'm actually compiling this list because I think it's invaluable. And definitely for me, it was invaluable. He was the best mentor that one could have, no question about it. 3 years ago, I got an award in a conference in my area, and he and Sarah came. This was in California, so it's not an easy trip, but they came. I remember telling Reuven that I got this. I said, "Are you coming?" And he said, "Even if you bring me on a stretcher, I'm coming. Of course, I'm coming." So, so this was in this conference, and it turned out that I had a friend that was sitting nearby, and he got very touched by our relationship. So he took those pictures, I didn't know. And then when Reuven passed, he saw the announcement and he sent it to me. Someone that I kind of, not really a friend, someone that I kind of know a little bit from the community, never thought that he would have these pictures, and he sent. So here is Alex and myself in the first row. Reuven is holding my hand. This is Sarah, and here again, Reuven and myself. And I'm extremely grateful and lucky that I got to tell him how amazing he was for me, to my career. So here is some of my words that I said that day. So I'm gonna skip to
started and move. Yeah.
I want to thank Kim Kimmerling, who was my postdoc advisor. He inspired me to pursue silicon photonics, and I'm very grateful for that. And I want to thank the best mentor in the world, my father. He is also a physicist, and he always told my twin sister and myself to make a mark. He actually didn't mean any mark. He meant a mark in physics. But what he really meant was that he believed that my sister and myself could make a mark. And today, as a parent and a mentor myself, I now know that this belief is the single most important thing one can give to a future scientist, and definitely to a female future scientist. My father has always been there for me, cheering me. Even when silicon photonics was not very popular, was considered a pretty crazy thing. And now, when silicon photonics is everywhere, 15 years later, he is still here, sitting in the audience, cheering me on. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Okay. Merav?
Yeah, hold on. I cannot share. Rogerio, can you?
Cannot share?
No.
Okay, this is.
I'm still sharing.
Now you can.
Oh, okay. So mine is a different than it's more rambling, I have to be honest, on Michal. But anyway, it's so I'm going to. He was not just my dad, but also in practice my scientific advisor. So I'm just going to touch in some of his science that he influenced me. And so just to begin, you saw all these pictures before in the break. I just wanted to bring, because it was a scientific conference, I was not going to talk about him as in dad so much, but I wanted just to bring these pictures down for Zulema was here, Jacques was here, and I know so many of you guys saw me and Michal growing up with you guys. And I will end up with that in my presentation. A lot of, for me and Michal growing up with my dad was, there was not many other options than being a physicist in our family. And we were surrounded by physics, and saw his passion for it invaded us. So this is a little bit more of just a couple of personal pictures. Especially I like this bottom one, me and Michal examining my dad. But anyway, he was I just put this slide just to remind me to say that my dad was one of my closest friends. We used to travel all the time. We will meet and just leave our lives behind and just, lock ourselves in some hotel somewhere in the world just to sit and talk. So we will do like days just talking and about everything. And when I was not with him physically, we will call each other daily, and he will complain if I will miss one day a call, and he will interview me about everything, from personal stuff to what I'm doing, physics. So this is the other, I think, influence of him, that there was no boundaries for him. Like the same that so many people discussed here, that he go from different areas in physics. For him, life, physics, so it's all one continuum. This is for, I decided to add these pictures for Zulema's story. This is us in Achibaya. And it was so nice for me to see early on the picture about the control room in Itajuba, because I do have this in my memory, my dad showing me the instrument, this old instrument, and where he measured the maser. And it was such a strong influence. And I show this picture when I teach students in middle school and in high school, to show how this passion comes from early age, that you just are bathed in this physics and wonder of the discovery. So I did my PhD partially with him, because partially I was not sure if I wanted to be a physicist. And as Angela was remembering, I love art so much. I'm crazy after art, that I was not sure if physics was my calling. And especially, I was very worried looking at the other people that I knew were scientists like Feynman, Einstein, that I had other passions. So doing physics didn't seem to be the only passion that I had in life. And it's actually started me working with him as a bet. I told him, give me, he will tell me, you cannot leave the area of physics and do something else unless you didn't try one time, leave it after you won. You publish important papers, then you can leave, which is completely absurd idea. But so we started as a bet, I told him, give me like an area to do research that will arrest me, that will create so much passion that maybe I will not leave. And I thought to myself, if I don't fall in love after a while, okay, I will leave and I will do something else. And we ended up publishing 7 papers, 2 in PRL and PhysRevD, etc. And the idea that he gave me, and it was absolutely insane, the idea, was to study again, and I'm hearing all this in the conference, how he will enter in a new area knowing nothing about it. And it's hard for me even to understand today as an advisor, his courage or his fearless or whatever, to go in an area that you have no idea about it. So he gave me this idea to study very short-lived fluctuations in plasma and how they will modify stuff in general. And I remember I asked him, which reference do you know about it? And he gave me one paper that he read. This is the only thing he knew. And I remember going to our university in Sao Paulo and going to the library and starting to take books and reading about it. And then I realized when I got back that he had no idea about the literature. It's not that the tip of the iceberg was just that tip, but he had like an assurance that you can do it. And I think this really helped me as a scientist and as an advisor, what Michal was mentioning, that certainty that he had, that if you put your passion, your mind into it, you can learn anything. And that we could do anything, and it was insane. So, and anyway, the other part that I got out of this PhD was so creative, was nothing like I've read before. And what happened to my career is that these papers are not very cited, highly cited, because I think they're so out there that people had no idea what to do with them. And I met somebody from, I think Galvão was in the call. He remembered there was a very famous guy in Princeton, Nat Fish, that met me in a conference and said, I love the papers you're writing, come to work with me. And I was terrified. I had no idea who was this guy. Most of it, I was terrified because I felt we had done an amazing creative work, but I didn't know plasma. So I didn't have the boundless fearless of my dad. I was like, I have to go learn some plasma. So I went to UCLA and I published a paper with Dawson that was basically the same thing I has done with my dad, was just applied to quantum. We just extended it to quantum plasma. And this opened a new area in plasma, and it's really thanks to my dad. It's just an extension of my PhD, and it has more than 260 citations, and it's opened a new field. But it's because of him. Okay, let's go study this. That I don't know, nobody has done it before. And Dawson, that was also kind of a guy out of the box, heard me giving the talk there and he said, oh my God, we have to work on that. So it was just, yeah. Anyway, I moved to space physics after that. And I am in this field of research since then in Voyager. And I put these pictures here to remind myself to tell you that the other gift that my dad gave to me and Michal, at least, was not just the certainty that we could do anything we want, but I think my dad created a world in his own mind. And I remember coming to space physics and even to physics before and realizing there were no other women there. We were the only one. And Angela knows that from when we went to physics, there was, 5 women in a sea of 300 men. And I remember coming home from University of Sao Paulo, and later when I did my post saying, why didn't tell us? And everybody's just quoting Feynman, and there are all these nerds, male, like I had nothing to do with them, what I'm doing there. And my dad will look so surprised that the world is like that. It didn't occur to him. It didn't even occur to him to tell us, or there was no issue for him at all. So it's, for me, it's almost he invented his own universe. And I think helped me to navigate in space physics. There was really no women at all, very, very few, is to keep that certainty that he had, that I could do anything I want, that I can chart the path that I want. And this encouragement that he gave me and Michal is, I think it's the fuel that propel us. Let's see what else I wanted to say. Recently I have a center in NASA that I am so excited about it in space physics. And the last conversations I had with him, it's again, there is a picture that I brought him to one of my conferences, and it's the same thing as on my dad. He had no, prior knowledge of this field, and he will just, in this conference particularly, he sat near one of the most famous person in my field and asked the most poignant, question, most deep, insightful, deep question. And I thought to myself, he had no idea who this guy is. He can't ask this question. And then 5 minutes later, I can see the two of them are really engaged in an incredible conversation. And so this boundless and fearlessness of him, it's an amazing, he will go with his, toolbox to any field, to any, just with certainties that he can uncover something new. So I just wanted to finish that I'm submitting a paper, and I decided that I'm going to write at the end that this paper is dedicated to my dad, who loved science deeply and fearlessly, because it's, I think, me and Michal, all our careers is completely in debt to him.
Thank you, Merav. Thank you.
Oh, I had another picture. I forgot, the last one, that this is the most important one. He came to visit me in Boston. You can see his paper. Everybody that know him, he's scrabbling his equations no matter when and where. You wake up, you see him, and he always was very cold. So he's wrapped up in his blankets. And my son found it, took him a picture, and he was just happy working his physics and in Sunday. So this is my biggest memory of him. It's always like just pure joy doing physics, wrapped up like that.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Merav. Thank you, Michal. Okay. So I guess now it's time for testimonies. So if you want to speak, I would ask you to raise your hand using the Zoom tool, so that you can speak up and tell your memories or any stories or anything you want to add. So Ioav,
Ibere. I think Ibere has something.
Yeah, so Ibere and then Ioav.
I would like to say something.
Should I start?
Yes, Ibere, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Well, I would like to congratulate you all for this wonderful workshop. It gave me a deep impression. Besides all I knew about Opher, I think I understand him better after this day. But I remember him from '79. I think his first year in São Paulo. I heard he was going to give a plasma wave course in CRAM, in the Rua Pará, and I just finished my PhD in plasma, but I never took a plasma physics course. So I decided to try this course. And it was wonderful. Twice a week I went there during the semester. And until now, when I'm preparing my class, I remember the kind of lecture he delivered, how enthusiastic he was presenting the first ideas, the model, and then the conclusions, the conjectures. All these I always remember. And after the class, he always talked with me about my work, asked me what I was doing. And then he was also very important in the plasma physics workshops that we organize every 2 years, more or less. And he attended all these workshops. He was always the reporter because he was the broadest person that attended the meeting. And he was able to give a nice lecture, nice comments at the end. And during the workshop, we also discussed with him. He was a unique person really during these workshops. So it was, I think, a privilege to know him. And unfortunately, I think I should have more time to talk with him, to hear his ideas, but that's the life. You know, we was near, but the buildings are very near, but the time, the opportunity didn't appear, only during these workshops. So I'd like also I'm very glad also to know from Merav and Michal about their careers. And I think they are really reproducing what the dad learned, what they learned with their father. Congratulations for you all. Thanks.
Thank you, Iber. Ioav, and then Orfeu.
In fact, I want to speak, not Ioav. I'm Sandra, I'm Ioav's wife. And I want to thank you for this beautiful event. And I had many times interactions with Opher. I went twice to Campos de Jordão, in New York. After lately, I was in Sarah's home twice with Opher and Sarah. And I also met Arella, and I'm an artist. I come from also from science. I'm a chemist. I studied in Israel also during the time he was there, but I think I didn't meet him there. But then I studied in New York art, and my teacher was very close to Arella's family. Arella was very close to the Sawyers. My teacher was...
Yes, I know her. The daughter of... I know, my mom used to say a lot about Sawyers.
Sawyer was my art teacher.
Yes, yes, wow. I remember her stories about it. This is amazing.
So I had this in common. And with Sarah too, yes, we both share lots of interest in art. And I remember once Opher was at our home, Friday night dinner. And then we decided to make the Shabbat Kiddush, and Opher asked if he could sing. And he made a beautiful Kiddush for us, and we were very emotional. He really sang very beautifully.
Yeah.
So it was really great. And then he told us many nice stories. That his marriage was with Shlomo Karlenbach, which was a great leader, religious leader, and also a wonderful singer. And till today, many of the songs that he sang, the melodies till today are used in many synagogues all over the world.
Do you know that my dad has a story that how he met Shlomo was in NYU, and Shlomo was doing, I can tell you later, but he will talk about Shlomo a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just wanted to share with you all those great moments that we had together. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. Orfeu?
Hello, thank you. Well, thank you very much for putting together this meeting. It's a great feeling to share with all of you the fact that it's obvious to everyone that Opher touched all of us in many ways. For me, it was also very pleasing. Zulema showed us a picture of Kram, and please, I ask you all to try to remember it. There was a house at the left-hand side. There was a terrace at the foreground, and you see the geodesic couple at the back. In fact, I was used to go twice a month, every weekend, as a student, as a stagiary, to stay at the observatory. And at some point I was told in 1979 that was going to be visited by a very famous professor from Israel. And there was a barbecue in that terrace. Are you all seeing that? Well, that was the first time I have met Reuven, and I have met Merav and Michal and his wife. That was quite quite momentous time because, well, it was very much weighted, this professor from Israel. Subsequently, he started delivering lectures on magnetohydrodynamics. Unfortunately, I could not attend them, so I have to say, it clashed with my classes at University of São Paulo, so I couldn't make it. And I miss it very much because he kept on telling me several times that, well, you learned general relativity, but you didn't learn magnetohydrodynamics. Well, I still have to learn it, okay? So I hope that someday, well, either Merav or Michal will tell me something about it. It's a hole on my education. So it was quite pleasing to see all of you again. It's as I have said, clearly, Reuven tortured all of us. He left his mark, and I think that's the best we can say for everyone that passed by in this very brief life of all of us. He left his mark.
Oh, Phil, can I just say one little word? You had in your thesis quotation for Virginia Woolf, if I'm not mistaken, in your chapters. And this gave me hope that you can like literature and do physics, if I remember.
Yes, well, well, as you know, probably some of you know, I have this passion for literature. I'm crazy about literature. So I have thousands of books and my house is crowded with books. And yes, Sarah, I can tell you, I mean, I wouldn't see myself without the marvelous feeling of being a physicist, but sometimes I have the feeling that I should write some lines again. And I have always this feeling, but physics is a sort of poetry and poetry is a sort of physics. I think that would solve this puzzle that you put us. It's a different way of understanding what is around us. You can understand through feelings, you can understand through reason, and they mingle dramatically. There is no physics without feeling, and Reuven told us precisely that. There is no physics without passion. If you want to do it, you have to do with passion. And there is no poetry without passion. So they have this thing in common, and I think, well, it's I think all of us will carry the legacy of Reuven. The last time I've seen him, I was trying to make some notes, was in 2008. We exchanged some emails after that. Well, life changed for all of us. It keeps on changing. But from 2004 to 2008, I was seeing him regularly at the Campos do Jordão, and that was also just a great time. It's a marvelous time. It's to be back in Brazil and seeing Reuven and seeing so many friends. It was exciting, it was thrilling, and it was moving, all at the same time. So we did great physics, and you also improved the relationship between all of us. And I have met many people. Many of you were around, and it was a great feeling. So thank you all. It has been great to see you again, and let's keep together. And the memory of Reuven will help us to keep us tight, close together. Thank you.
Thank you, Orfeo. So you're just working on a grand unified theory, a theory that can unify poetry with physics. Fantastic. And also, I can never forget Orfeo's contribution at Nova Física do Espaço, because he brought a new term for our vocabulary in physics, which was constrangimento. So constrangimento, we say vínculos, in Portuguese we say vínculos, no? But in Portugal they say constrangimentos.
Yes, that led to several days of discussion about etymology in Portuguese language. Yes.
Yeah, I use constrangiments with my students as well because of that.
That's your next, so just keep going.
Okay, no, just a few words more. That it was really amazing. This workshop was great. The contributions, the testimonies, you know, from the early life of Opher before coming to Brazil, I knew a few, you know, extracts, but the details that were put today, that were raised today, it was amazing to know some of the details. With Opher as an experimentalist, I didn't know about this experiment at all, so it was really amazing. And I think Opher, you know, he was so grand, so enthusiastic, so within himself, that I think Opher should be a cat. You know, because cats have 7 lives, and then in 7 lives, perhaps maybe he would be able to, you know, to include and to transmit, to push forward all his brilliant ideas, his exotic, sometimes not as brilliant, but, you know, crazy, and they ended up to turning into something great at the end of the day. So I think essentially this is what I'd like to say, and of course on behalf of all the organizers, we have to thank you guys coming along, and it was really amazing, and this is all I have to say, and thanks a lot, really. And Michal and Merav, thank you so much for, you know, sharing all these details, and Sarah as well, and of course everybody else. It was really amazing, moving, and I think Opher is, you know, he's here. I mean, with us.
He's with all of us. Yes.
That's true. That's true. He will continue. His legacy, you know, will continue for generations. I mean, because we have our students of our students, and so on and so forth.
Exactly.
Thank you, Opher. In the heaven.
Thank you, Betty.
I have a funny story that when my dad will visit me, he will meet my son, and my son, you know, was small, but he learned very quickly how to talk to my dad. So he would come and he said, "Let's talk about something." It's like he knew that my dad, this would be the opening sentence, that my dad wants something big.
Yeah, that's true indeed.
Okay. So before Paulo, Ilya wants to say a few words.
I know
Yeah.
Paulo wants to talk, and Ilya and Alex.
Okay, first of all, I'm very glad to see many of you, because like half of the people which I have on the pictures I know, and it is a great pleasure after 1 year of isolation to see you. And about Professor Opher, I didn't know him so close as most of you, but basically we were meeting only in these new physics in space meetings. And I would say that these meetings were very, very important for me in many respects. And I'm really grateful to Reuven for organizing it and for inviting me there, because it was non-trivial, because I'm mainly working in quantum gravity and it was not my area. And when I came to these meetings, I was really impressed, because first of all, the format of the meeting, which he invented, and maybe with George participation, as I understood from his speech, was exactly what I wanted, because it was everybody had 20 minutes, and I found it wonderful, because most of us don't have material to present even for 20 minutes. And when people speak about 1 hour about many things, I'm getting lost. So usually. So for me, 20 minutes was perfect. And then there was this parry down, and people were sometimes very aggressive, and it was very nice. So you really felt home somehow, because I'm from Russia. So for me, this style of seminars was something familiar, let's say, up to some extent. And then, so I think this contribution, because after that, in all meetings which I'm organizing, I'm trying to push to make the same. And I know that other people also do this. I really think that this is the best format, and this was a great invention of the format of the meeting, because we all, let's say, got some benefits from it. And another part was his personality, because he was very, very kind man, but also he let people fight up until some point, and he was a real chairman. I am the worst chairman in the world, because once I remember I forgot to come to the session when I was chairman. I'm feeling bad even now after 15 years. So, but it is true, I can't forget. And he always was coming, and he was like supervising the chairman and the talks and fightings and all discussions, and it was very nice. And he was kind person and very well educated in both senses, both as human being and as physicist. And maybe last, but at least for me not least, was that he gave this good 1 hour, sometimes 2 hour reviews of what is going on in astrophysics. Since I'm not from astrophysics, I can imagine that for those people who work in astrophysics, this was not really interesting, because you guys know everything, but I knew basically nothing. So I was learning a lot from these presentations, and he put everything exactly as Merav said, what is the main point? So he was, every time he was trying to formulate what was the main point in each problem. If he speaks about jets coming out of black holes, so he explained what is the conflict between different experiments. And then I was trying to put it somehow close to my activity, and it was very nice. So I would say that, at least for me, Reuven's contributions are will stay forever. Okay, and they were very important and very interesting. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Ilya. Thank you. So Paulo, and then Crispin.
I'm just going to be very brief. Just to say that it was I had the privilege of knowing him through Michal. I've been collaborating with Michal for a while, and I spent a year on sabbatical at Cornell, and probably the cherry on the top of the sundae was that I got to share an office with Reuven for the entire year. And it was just always so nice. I think the pictures that Merav showed us, they actually capture a good deal of Reuven. He was extremely warm and affectionate. And that is, to be deeply missed. So he made a huge impression on everyone that I saw that interacted with him, and it would be no different for me. Really, I'm going to deeply miss him.
Thank you, Paulo. Crispino.
Okay, so I would like to say maybe both sides that I kind of, I never interact scientifically with him in the sense to write a paper together, to make a research together. But I attended a lot of conferences organized by him, especially the Nova Física and the challenge. I did not go to all of them, but most of them. And it happened in a moment of my life when I was quite isolated, when I came back to Belém, the city I was born. And this made an important difference in my life, to go to this conference that was quite democratic in the sense that Ilia mentioned. So more or less everybody had the same time to talk, and then discussions in the end. I remember I was giving classes at that time heavily. That was when I just came back to Belém, and that was a time in which I could travel, move out from that day by day intense life, and to talk about physics. Obviously, I must confess that I skipped some conferences. I don't know if George is here, and we used to go to discuss physics ourselves, me and George, because at that time we did not have Zoom or Google Meet or whatever. So that was a time that we had also to meet and to get together and to discuss about physics. And we had an intense collaboration at that time, me and George. And I remember, Reuven also was close to George, and in a sense close to me, that I will say some words later about that too. And it was really, really funny and nice to interact with him. And from the scientific point of view, I would stress the same thing that Ilia told, that he was amazing, because in every workshop, in the beginning, he would say something, and in the end, he would wrap up something. So obviously, he would talk with us to get some insights and something. But in the end, he always came with the main ideas, and that was really important, both in the beginning and both in the end. And this was important to me, which was a teacher at that time in my university. And so it was a huge opportunity for me to travel and to see the people I could interact with and learn a lot in these workshops, and also have the opportunity to give this, because everybody would give plenary talks. So everybody would tell the work. So it was different from those meetings where we have this parallel sessions. There were no parallel sessions. So everybody would listen to everybody, and everybody could criticize, comment, and ask questions, and make some interaction that in the end will be extremely helpful. So in this sense, I have learned a lot, and I owe this to him as the organizer of the conferences. Obviously, I was at the IFT at that time. I went to that coffee at the Universe flat that George mentioned. So when he showed that picture, that was a complete surprise to me, because I didn't see that place for a long time. And that was a place where we used to discuss physics and get together. And that was really impressive to have this memory. So I thank you for whoever has been organizing this workshop today, because it was really, really amazing. And it made me the opportunity to remember how important these things were in my life, and in particular, Opher. And then I come to this personal influence, because so not only through George, because as I said, they were close together, but I happened to do the undergrad, so at least part of it, together with Merav. That was I never met Michal personally, although she came to Belém, but I think I was not here when the time she came. But so I listened over talking about Michal all the time, together with Merav and everything. So, but then it comes to a point that when we were in São Paulo, me and Angela, we kind of lived, well, we had our separate apartments, right? That in which we lived, but well, we were together at that time also. But Angela spent some of the time in her apartment. And then some of the time, it was very close to Reuven's apartment. And then every now and then she would go there with them. And she was treated like a daughter, And although, I mean, we never even talked too much about that and didn't elaborate very much on that, but the feeling that Angela had with Opher, with Michal was like a sister, right? And Erela and Opher as kind of a family that she had, okay, at São Paulo. So
Angela, I have pictures of you.
Oh,
yeah,
I'd
that would be
like
great.
to see
That would be
them. May I say some words?
yes,
Because-
okay, then I just close
yeah,
up.
then you close up. So if you don't mind, in fact, I came from Belém to São Paulo. I spent there 10 years studying at USP University with Merav. And I first met, I used to heard about Professor Opher, like a professor in São Paulo University, but I never met him. Then I became Merav's friend. And I remember talking with my sister once, my sister that used to live with me in São Paulo. So now I have a friend. She's so interesting, and she's so nice, and this and that. And once we met over, me and Merav, I don't know, in a coffee, I don't know. And then I came back. No, now I know why she's so interesting. Can you believe on her father? He's an amazing person. He knows everything about everything and treat me like with a big hug always. And I use the smile that brings me home always. Every time I used to meet him and Erela as well, I used to feel like home within a family in this sense. And as I said, as a scientist, was the small chance I have to talk with him about science, always these most smart questions about my area. He was always with a passion about something that I was working. Are you working on that? Tell me more, and this and that, and some specific questions. So he's a special person, I could say.
Yes, and then that comes to what I would just like to finish with is that the way I felt when I was with him, right? Although I was not that close to him, I mean, in the sense, I mean, I don't think we had too much time to come to his house or he come to my house. I mean, although we met sometimes, but the feeling I had, and I think not only from what I heard, but from what I've seen, I mean, along the time I had the chance to be with him, is that everybody would feel a bit like that with Opher, you know, like a kind of father or a supervisor, but a mixed thing about. So so that is why this story that Michal and Merav told us today makes a lot of sense to me, you know, because I think, you know, and the feeling I have is a bit like that. Obviously, is nothing when compared to yours, right? But the feeling I have, so today I think I can put more precisely in words when I was with him, okay, the opportunity I had to be with him scientifically or in coffee or talking or whatever, or walking around in Campos do Jordão when the meeting ends or during lunchtime. So the feeling I had is a mix, you know, of a scientist and a kind of father because of the love that Sarah mentioned and stressed very well, you know, because he had a lot of love, well, we could say love or room in the heart. The poetry makes you, I mean, able to say in many different words, but the thing I would like to say is just that. I mean, so he was a mix of a very smart and talented science and also a man that could be the father of all the people with which he would interact. And I think that's the perfect combination. Obviously, I don't want to take the merit of you, Michal and Merav. I mean, I know, at least Michal I know very well, and I know she's an extreme talented person. But I think that in a sense, you know, I mean, it's easy to understand the success, the very prominent careers that you are developing. And I think that Reuven will live in you and a bit in us forever, for our forever, as long as we live. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Angela e Luiz. Depois eu mando as fotos de vocês também.
Thank you, Crispino and Angela. So Avigdud, you're next, and then Vera.
Yeah, thanks. I joined this workshop a bit late because of the time zones, but I'm still learning a lot about Reuven and all his aspects. So thanks a lot for organizing this workshop. I'm a student from Michal's group. So, and I got the chance to interact with Reuven in that capacity. As Michal said, he was like an integral part, a very unique part of our group, and we all had a very special relationship with him. But also, once Michal's group moved from Cornell to Columbia, I want to say a very specific thing, that is, we organized in a nanophotonics group a series of weekly, monthly lectures on cosmology by Reuven, and we would all very much look forward to that. It was a very informal lecture series in which every month he would teach us something new and very interesting about cosmology during one of the lunches. And the way he would explain things was so amazing that because we were in a completely different field, but it still stuck to us, and we were able to make sense of it. And before every month's seminar, he would send us an email listing a few big problems in the field and asking us which one are we most interested about. So one of the things he said was, the vacuum energy, if you calculate, is 120 orders of magnitude different from what we observe in the universe. So 120 orders of magnitude is impossible to explain. So how can we explain that? And he, I think, did a lecture about that once. So we've learned a lot from him, and I think we'll continue to cherish him as much as he, as much as we can. And so that's a real privilege for us. And on a more personal note, I got a chance to talk about science with him also on my first PhD project with Michal, and Paulo was also my co-advisor on that, and as well as Alex. So it was on squeezing, and when I was presenting the first work on squeezing, he said that you cannot explain the uncertainty principle even if it's in normalized units without Planck's constant. So comments like that, which completely changed the way I would present my science, I really learned from Reuven. So even now when I'm preparing something, I'm thinking, what would Reuven think of this talk? How would he like to hear it said? And so that legacy really lives on through us, and I'll really miss him, but I'm also learning more and more about Reuven through this conference. So thanks a lot.
So thank you.
Thanks, Avik.
Okay, so we're coming to the closing.
Vera wanted to say, or we want Vera to say something.
Yeah, Vera, you have to say something.
Oh, it's coming to the close. And I'd like to say that I also learned a lot with Opher. And it was a great pleasure to work with him. And this workshop was great also with the excellent presentations and the histories that I didn't know, and the testimonies. So I'd like to thank you for being here, and you and Michal, Merav and Michal, thank you very much for everything, and thank you, Opher. Thanks.
Beijos, Vera.
And maybe one word. Yeah.
If I can may just say just a few words. So I'm Alex. I'm Michal's husband, Reuven's son-in-law, and so I've known Reuven for about 12 years, and so it's kind of interesting. I was just thinking about it. Is that most of you knew Reuven scientifically, and of course it's everything how you describe Reuven is how I knew him. And normally you think of people of having both kind of a private face and a public face. And what I can tell you from primarily interacting with his private face is it was very much like his public face. It was really completely consistent. And and I can say, you know, since, you know, Michal and I got married later in life, and I still remember the first time I went to Sao Paulo to visit and meet him for the first time, and him and Arala 11 years ago. And, you know, Reuven just embraced me, you know, physically, but also emotionally, right from the beginning. And I don't remember any time that we ever had even a moment of tension. And you think, you know, son-in-law, father-in-law, there'd be some, but it never was. He was just a fantastic father figure for me. And even though I'm a physicist, we talk, of course, a lot about physics, but he always showed great interest in me, was always, as many of you describe him, just a loving person. And that's the type of, you know, person my father was as well. And so, you know, my parents, they had a lot of health issues later in life. So he kind of became a little bit of a father for me. And, you know, I still to this day will never forget that, you know, a couple of years ago, I won a major prize, and it was going to be presented at Clio, the conference that you heard about, Michal. And, you know, this is in California. I mean, this is not an easy place to get to. It's not something that can just drive a couple hours and you're there. And when I told Reuven about this, or Michal told him, he immediately said, I'm going. And so he and Sarah, you know, and both of them amazingly came all the way out there, and they just went for just the ceremony, you know, which is a pretty brief 10-15-minute ceremony. But it was just, you know, again, it just, that's the type of person Reuven was, you know, as much as he was a great physicist, he was also just a wonderful person, wonderful father-in-law.
Okay, thanks, Alex. Michal, Merav, last words.
We just want to thank you all for coming and for organizing this. This was just incredible. Rogerio, Betty, Vera, and all the organizers, and you all for coming. I mean, it was so meaningful.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much for all of you guys putting this together.
Holden deserves it very much. Holden deserves it very, very much.
It was the least we could do. Of course, you know, the question was only when and how, and I think Rogerio helped us to put this together very well, because we came about with this idea. We had to do something, Vera and myself and José Carlos, and then I wrote to Rogerio and said, Rogerio, I was thinking about the same thing, but let's do it. And then
actually we didn't sing, therefore we still have stuff to do for next time. We have to put together all the songs. There are several songs, and then we will have something to do it again.
Yes, the comeback of the operette. The
operette, exactly. With all the extensions, you know.
And I love you can only know 3 chords, it's enough.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Very much.
Bye-bye.
You know, when the pandemic is over, let's get together physically. Let's
that definitely. I would love that.
Wonderful.
Yes.
I think
Take care.
My plan is to come to Brazil, definitely.
I think we can.
So this is recorded.
Sorry.
I'm just saying this has been recorded, and
we've been talking.
You can view this again and again and again.
Okay.
You'll send us a message telling us where is it, right, or something like that.
Actually, it's going to be on the website of the.
Okay. Okay.
Betty, you want to say a few words?
Just we should have some kind of physics in space, you know, when pandemics is over, and do like a second memorial, and you know, get together and have this broad science.
That would be lovely. That would be lovely. Yeah.
I have a few words.
Yes.
Ok?
Yes, yes.
Então, And so, are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. This symposium is very inspiring because we're talking about passion, poetry, art, confidence, encouragement. Opher was and is an example of being a father, a scientist, a human, all that.
Lindo, José. Lindo.
Okay. Okay, I think we can close. Thank you all for participating. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
Beijos, beijos, beijos.
Beijos. Beijos.
Bye, meninas. Bye, Sara.
Tchau, gente. Tchau.
Tchau. Tchau.
Tchau, tchau.
Tchau.
Michal, I enjoyed this very, very much. And we go back with Reuven for more than 70 years. And we know him before he became a physicist. And I'll say goodbye, and I enjoyed this very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, folks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Let's do it again.
Yes.
Vamos fazer, Beth, eu achei ótima ideia. Vamos. Great.
Mesmo.
Bye, guys.
Rogério, bacana. Rogério, só uma coisa, só uma mensagem. Muitos desses estudantes não receberam o convite. Tanto é que eu falei com a Adriana Valho, ela não estava sabendo. Aí ela pegou, passei o link para ela. Eu acho que isso aconteceu com outros, porque já Felice não apareceu, Gustavo Medina, Oswaldo Miranda, e eu imagino o Canali, eu imagino que essas pessoas estariam, né? Então eu acho que aconteceu alguma coisa na comunicação. Mas fica para qualquer forma.
Talvez tenha a ver com o dia, a época do ano, porque, por exemplo, no INPE eu reforcei o envio da mensagem com o link e tudo mais.
Sorry, guys, because I skipped.
Aí não sei.
Ok. Obrigado. Obrigado, Beth. Obrigado, Rogério, por ter me comunicado. Fico muito feliz de ter estado convosco este bocadinho. E pronto, até a próxima e esperemos que seja a sério da próxima vez. Certo?
Possível que eu vá para Portugal segundo semestre. Tem uma escola em Nazaré, se não houver nenhum...
Vens para apanhar ondas, não é certo? Ondas gigantes, certo? É em novembro, é melhor em novembro, vem em novembro, ok?
Eu vou te visitar no Porto, não se preocupe.
Ok, com certeza, com certeza.
Ok, pessoal.
Obrigado. Um abraço para todos.
Bye, guys. Take care. Bye, bye. Bye, bye,
Okay.
Sarah.
Bye, bye. Bye, bye, Sarah.
It was really beautiful. You made me cry.
Bye, bye.
Bye, bye, everybody.
Bye, bye.
Bye, bye.